Andrew Willoughby, you were an early member of the club.
20 years ago. Yeah.
20 years ago, and you're really into motorbikes as well. But what you've got beside you is a beautiful Harley Davidson. Now, what is the thing that really gets you about the club? What's really enticed you to stay with the club?
Probably the diversity of the people and the machines. It's not one of those single clubs like the FX Holden Club, or anything like that, or something really narrow. It's so broad, not just cars, bikes, stationary engines, lawn mowers, everything, and I think that was the thing that really got me in the first place, the fact that it was open up to all motor vehicles.
Yes, and the camaraderie too.
And the people that come, such a wide variety of a great spread of people across, different sort of fields. And also, like you say, the runs away.
Yes.
That's what we really enjoy, especially the weekend runs like you've organised over the years and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and David
and Neil and that. Yeah,
yes.
It's fantastic, and that's where it really comes to the fore for us.
Yeah, you can bring your partner, wife, or whatever.
And that's right. And we always go somewhere interesting. You have a chance to bring your car or motorbike out or whatever, and go on a decent run and enjoy the weekend away. Yeah.
Thanks for your thoughts, Andrew. Thanks, mate.
No worries.
Now, Max Evans, you're really an early member because I think you were at the first meeting.
That's correct.
With me as well.
Yeah.
Now, tell us about your time with the club and this car that you've got behind us.
Okay, I was approached by
Bob Radnage,
dearly departed cross between Santa Claus and God. He was a hard man to avoid, as you've
very hard
found out, and for all his faults, he did a good job of pushing along for the club. And the club formed. I won't say I was a reluctant member, but it was a bit tough on me because I was a young family guy.
Yes.
I've got membership number 22, and it didn't really involve Jenny and my kids. The club itself. It was more about guys with motorbikes, and that itself was a barrier. But it was the start of something big, and here we are 30 years down the track, and it's a fantastic club.
And what are you driving today? Tell us about it.
Today is the 02 Monaro. It's a pretty thing. We've kept it in good nick. It used to be our daily driver, and now it sort of lives in the garage. It does about maybe 2,000 or 3,000 clicks a year, and it's just approaching 22 years old.
And it does a few PMEA club days as well.
Yeah, a couple of PMEA things. I mostly drive the older ones, but this is our Grand Tourer.
Fantastic. Well, great to talk with you. It's only a short interview because we're getting a few from other fellows as well. Thanks, Max. So, David, you're one of the early members of the club. Do you remember the year that you joined?
not exactly, but it's 6 months after the
Oh,
club
well,
started.
So 1995.
Yeah.
Now, you've always specialised in motor mowers. How many motor mowers have you got?
Just a bit over 300, I'd say. I'm
300?
not exactly sure. Yeah.
300 motor mowers.
I started writing down all the different models and the width of the cut and everything, and I lost count. I thought I'd have to come back to it later on.
Well, you've got chainsaws, you've got cars, you've got motorbikes as well.
Yeah.
You've got a number of cars and a number of motorbikes.
Yes, I've got a Ford CX 1936.
Yes.
An old 10 horsepower side valve. A standard 8, which I believe was from the flying model when it came over, but it's got an Australian body on it.
Right.
2 Ford Thames vans in different stages of dismantled.
Yes.
Dismantling.
Motorbikes.
A bit motorbikes, yes. I've got
BMW, early BMW.
Some BMW I've got on the road.
Oh, yes.
It's got a bit of history about it.
Yes.
Quite interesting. I don't want to chop that around too much.
Right.
So I'm building another one of those, Miss Green, the correct colour for it.
Right.
A BMW R51/2.
That's a very early one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the first trim, 500 trim after the war.
Right.
Had 5,500 of those they made, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
So with the club, as you've been in it so long, it's camaraderie, isn't it, that really keeps you in the club?
Yeah, it's changes quite a bit over the years too.
Yes.
It sort of grown a bit over the last few years with the new registration system.
That's right.
So that's been good. But the initial idea of the club, I believe, Bob Radnich used to say, was to have a local club on the peninsula,
Yes.
the Pittwater area, of course,
Yes.
and that was to be with all makes of vehicles and machinery
Yes.
of all types
Yes.
and makes and nationalities.
And it certainly worked well. Look, thank you very much, David. Thank you for the interview.
Yeah.
Good morning all. I'm here with Jim Rogan, who's one of our very early members of the PMEA. He's been a car guy all his life. We're down at the beautiful Bayview Dog Park this morning on a maybe slightly rainy day, but anyway, we walk our dogs down here quite regularly. So Jim, you were one of the very early members of the PMEA. Do you remember when you sort of fired up, or?
No, it was well before the Olympics, so that's 23 years. So.
Yep.
Yes.
And so did you have, like, who introduced you to the club? Anybody?
John Pennell.
John Pennell, yeah.
He was my best friend, yeah.
Yep. So, and you found, were they still with a lot of bikes, or were they moving into the cars by that stage?
No, they were still bikes and machinery, and
Yep.
and even David Price-Jones to this day, I think, still got his lawnmowers, so it suited everyone.
He does. We actually saw a big collection of his mowers out at Fagan Park the other day on Australia Day. So, good to see a good mix. And where did you sort of meet back then? When were the meetings?
In the Girl Guides Hall, I think it was,
Yep.
at Mona Vale.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Yeah.
That was a very famous place for many, many years, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And what car or bike or whatever did you own back then?
I had that 52 pickup truck, Ford pickup truck, yeah.
Yeah, right. A bit of a hot rod or a stocky?
Street rod, yeah.
Street rod, yeah, right. Yeah, good. The very early events, do you remember any particular events that you remember well? Maybe was there?
No, the events in them days were a bit short. The bikes, we sort of stayed this side of the harbour.
Yep.
So we didn't go any long runs much. But every second weekend there was quite a fair roll-up.
Yeah, right. And do you remember any sort of displays? Do you ever go to the? I think we had some in Warriewood.
Yeah, Warriewood Square. I had the FJ.
Yeah. Oh, you had an FJ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had the FJ then, and then St Ives Showground. I remember.
Yep.
Doing displays.
Yeah, and I believe you, through connections, I think of yours or something, you put together a big display for the PMEA with the Royal Easter Show out at Homebush, I think.
Yeah, it came from the Olympics where I rode in that Olympic opening event.
Yep.
And then I mentioned it to Lynelle Barker, who used to run the show for the RAS, I think it is.
Yep.
And she asked, could we take, because they'd get MG car clubs and all that have MGs. I said, well, we can have everything. I even took old 100-year-old sulkies over there and put on display.
Yep.
And I think it went for 3 years. But they just got harder to get on with, you know. And they only wanted you to. It was a big effort. They only wanted you to do one lap.
Yep. Yep.
But I remember that they tried to wave Brian Jacket in. So he said, "Bugger it, he did 2 laps." You know. And I don't know whether because we never did. We never were asked after that. But I don't think that had anything to do. It was just a time thing.
Yep. Yep. And mate, you rode in the Olympics on the horses when it started the Olympic Games. So
correct.
What was that?
John Pennell and I both did. Yeah.
Must have been brilliant, was it? That.
It was the best thing I've sort of. Yeah, the best thing I've done.
You trained, where was it?
Castle Showground.
Castle Showground.
There was 150 of us.
Yep, and they tell me that the horses were that well trained that the timing, they just took off when they were ready to go.
Yeah, they knew the music, and if something went wrong, like even if you're in the ride and you fell off, the horse would run back to where he was supposed to be. Bugger the rider, I got rid of him.
It was very famous, it was great. It was
yeah.
lovely to see. And what sort of car do you have today? What have you
that 40 Chev convertible.
Yep, that beautiful is a bluey.
Yeah, that's
aqua.
a bluey. Teal blue they call it, but
Yep. And so we're anyway in a month or so we're going to have our 30th anniversary dinner for the PMEA. So I just personally, and on behalf of the committee, I'd like to thank you for all your involvement. I know you've had tremendous amount over the years and probably enjoyed it and enjoyed good friends. And thank you very much for your time.
Good, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Okay.
Well, today we've got Diane and David Rundle, one of the very, very early members of the PMEA, down here enjoying the sunshine. And this is a very different role for me and for David because he's usually doing all the talking and I'm doing all the listening.
Yes.
David, from my opinion, he's probably the club MC. That's a big role he's carried out and kept everybody together through certainly the times that I've been here. And we just want to run over a bit of the history. A very long-term member, as is your wife. And so, David, what was when roughly did you and Diane start in the PMEA?
In 1994, we both went along to the first meeting, which was in the Mona Vale Library Hall, Memorial Hall, and we joined immediately. But Diane has got the earliest number. She's number 9. So she was certainly, if not the first, one of the first. I know Leanne Britton was involved in the club for many years, but Diane's been in the club all that time, and I'm number 13.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, I'm number 13, so it's been a wonderful club.
And what cars did you have back then? What sort of car or cars? What were you driving then? What was your classic car?
Diane should answer
Or
that.
bike, sorry, or bike.
David had the motorbike. He had the Triumph, wasn't it?
Triumph Thunderbird.
And I had the Austin 7 Chummy, the 1929 Chummy, which was my wedding present from David when we were married in 1988. So,
A very lovely way to involve your wife in your
beautiful.
passion.
It was a beautiful little Chummy.
I've seen a picture of you. You look very lovely in it.
Thank you.
Yeah, back then. Yeah, it was very nice.
And she displayed it with our dog in
He
many.
Took up the back seat.
Took up the back seat in many displays. Warriewood, particularly.
Yep.
The early ones at Warriewood, Newport Beach, Narrabeen.
Warriewood Mall too. I think I've seen a picture
Warriewood
when it came
Mall.
out. Yeah,
Yes.
yep.
Yes. So many displays and DY too.
What cars did you sort of transition through then once you through your 30 odd years with the club?
The biggest deal was the Stutz.
Yep.
I'd had that for years. It was a 1928 Stutz. It was a garden ornament that I turned into a beautiful car. In fact, we even had it at the 10-10-10 display, which was at Manly Cathedral. Yeah. We also had, at that stage, the Franklin, the 27 Franklin on display, and we had a 1965 Buick Riviera coupe.
So you got a Healy.
We've got a Healy. We've got the Aircool Franklin. We've got her car.
Yep,
My car?
Mercedes, yeah. Lovely
Which
car.
is
The Mercedes, 97 Mercedes,
with how many Ks?
60,000 K.
Yeah, right. So back to PMEA and the history of PMEA. So what events have you enjoyed over the years with this group? You're still here 30 years later, like that's a generation. And
Yes.
have you enjoyed some of the longer runs and the regular barbecues and the meetings, or?
The camaraderie of the place has always been terrific. It started off as a motorcycle club. We'd get 30 motorbikes and two cars, but now it's very, very diversified. We've got a wonderful group of people with all sorts of vehicles, including motorbikes and motor scooters and lawnmowers, and my gosh, chainsaws. We even had a fellow that came along and joined with vintage boat motors. So it just goes to show you that everyone is accepted, and because of that, there is never any competition for, oh, look at my car, it's better than your car. It's just been a wonderful club to join and to be a member of, and I can only say that anyone that's interested in cars should come along and join us and join the party, because the cars or motorbikes or whatever they are, engines, they're only the invitation to the party.
And you look forward to another 30 years?
Oh gosh, if we could, we would.
Well done. Thank you very much today for your time, and thank you for your service to PMEA, both of you. Over the last 30 years, you've been a very, very integral part of the club. So
Thanks, Gavin.
thank you very much.
Nice.
Yep. Thank you.
PMEA, way to go.
That's the way.